Gilg Jew, Gilg J as Gilg Nerach.
Showed you Claare na Gael, Shima Hat, you say, Shua Shaltacha. My name is Robert Cateen Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Did you ever hear tell of old Bobby Bob?
And once more we embark on this bilingual programme, Claare na Gael, in which you'll hear the English language, as Angie Nishu Clash Nis and Gilg, and in which you'll also hear the Manx Gaelic, Chinyanamera, the mother tongue of Ellen Vanning, the Isle of Man. As Banach and Urish. Now, in the legend of the ruined chapel in St Michael's Isle, Father Kelly is wondering how to furnish the new-built chapel when he hears two men talking outside and burying something in the rullick round the chapel. Well, the men go off by boat, but the weather is stormy, and a little later he's called to attend a dying man who's been rescued from a shipwreck. Tan fairly John Seward, a Sanolu van Helsing, vrishestiach ons tai Lucy Westenra. Ta kier mren sherwenten in lai drugich, ach ons schemer liavach Lucy, tad fedden moir Lucy as ish maru, as ta Lucy na lai liori. The 5th of March is a day dedicated to a saint who's said to have sailed across the sea from Ireland on a millstone, and he landed in Cornwall. St Piran is the patron saint of Cornwall, which proudly flies the flag of St Piran, the white cross, on a black field. Tashu geestiach rish radio vanning stashu narashun, viscol erskeliena by Dulish Allen Vanning. The HOLMAN-CLIMAX Male Voice Choir from Camborne, and they were accompanied by Agnes Jane on piano, and they were singing the Reverend Robert Hawker's song of the Western Men, Trelawny, which is celebrated as the Cornish national anthem, and Cornwall's national day is St. Piran's Day, the 5th of March. "Father," said the dying man, "will you hear the confession of a pirate and a murderer?" The priest, seeing there was no time to lose, signified his assent, and, kneeling down by his side, bent his ear to listen. Then the man, with strange breaks and ramblings in his speech, told him of murders out on the wide seas, and horrible recollections of cruelty and rapine. "We took a Spanish ship some weeks ago," added the man, "and came in here to water, being a safe place, when I, God forgive my soul, I committed my last crime, and stole from the captain a box of gold he took out of the Spaniard. Another man and I were in the secret. We brought it with us and buried it in the graveyard of your little chapel, intending to make our escape from the ship on the first opportunity, find our way over here, recover and enjoy the booty we'd got." "To whom did it belong?" said the priest. "God knows," replied the man. "To me now, I suppose." Gyn fogl ren an olw crom o shis harish liavi, as a chion bonus benten rishachrish Lucy Westenra. Esh, renich in day a chion de bew, gurish fair was geestiach, as chas ve limmer soos, die mach orum, genelle fosro ammach, de bew, corlish brandy. Rem mi rai shis na griechen, as heg me backlash, as mish goil Gael, de horrel as de blast day, al de berg shen, yes struggich, na hedden, as een sech timi de fien sherry, hoer mi woord. Van de nienen veil fos tar nennel, ach smoel jou vech, as van mi schien de rauwen drugge kadli, ljai soel. Gerem mi tannach den aan de junu sugar, ach hai mi rish ges van Helsing. Renne rubbe a brandy, maar enne kuurtelje, na melen as na druntenek, as wannel lauw as baddigen a lauwen. Doortie rum. Fodem jinu shaw, ulju vis der jinu ege trei ton, imi as jin dusten yin and veil shen. Now this is a Manx song collected from Tom Taggart of Grenaby by Mona Douglas, and she taught the song to Claire, KILGALLON and Annie KISSACK. It's Lhondoo.
Lhondoo, 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 velutit, gobe,
Annie KISSACK and Claire KILGALLON singing Lhondoo, the Blackbird. Cor scotchdow, dúirt an olú, ons na nedanin leis éanrit lautáis, as cor scotchdow de cry. Cor orú cor les chas as aisle as tubar únli che. Tan anam vách seo bunnas chafúr as shen liori. Bí fé morí gul chow, rás me bodmuid junu vegelia. Haimi a tjúl, as gerau monna dolje den dúste trí genam rein. Gerau an cheru fair 8 egg, as ve jean de rauwe drugge en jinnewori na straasje. Me so rog mi susi gussenéisiag as rem mi liggegi kadle. Van a 4 elia a sjarn ag a toiacht. Ach, gouds henk kunjen dau rish, rennet Kenia, as sachel, as nenenjacht an asmacht. Ach, van mi gier wansjerach oru, as geren mi lauwel dau lord. Dinch mi dau de rauwe ook de loer, call unvjoos, as de jinnachad schlerige, de jinnachad cor in a Lucy vei kalt. Me so, as ut sachel as co, hayet me giet en gleagdag, lie chomrich morvad, as renne deurlige aisle as ustja. Those who owned the gold can use it no more, said the dying man. The ship from which the captain took it went down with all on board. We burnt her. What was her name? Asked Father Kelly. The dying man told him the name. There, he said, take the gold and shrive me. I've confessed. Then, without another word, he died. The people buried him and gathered up some few pieces of timber from the wreck of his ship, but nothing came ashore to show whether she was laden or not. They never knew her name, nor for a great while what she was, the priest not conceiving himself bound to tell them even so much of what he had heard in confession. Many years afterwards the whole story was found in a book which the priest left behind him when he died. The words, "Take the gold," haunted the good father long after the man who died in uttering them had been committed to the ground. The chapel was finished, but not furnished. The fulfilment of the dream was incomplete. and that's recorded in 1926. It was the folk dance band of the English Folk Song and Dance Society, but the tune, Christchurch Bells, was in fact first published in John Playford's Dancing Master. That was the 6th edition of that, published in 1679. Stasiwn yn asiwn sien the jarw radio fannin, as she Claare na Gael fy sgol ar sgeiliau mach cart nish. She Robert Green Carswell tan an amorm Robert a carslach mata.
Have you heard tell of our Bobby Bob?
And Claare na Gael is one of many free podcasts available and updated daily from Manx Radio. You can go to the Manx Radio website, manxradio.com, to subscribe to any of the free podcasts, or you can go to other podcast providers, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Audible, Spotify, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, or Alexa. And you can also listen again to lots of Manx Radio's weekly output using the on-demand feature on the website as well, where programmes are available for 7 days after their first broadcast. Many a night Father Kelly lay awake, arguing with himself the lawfulness of a search among the graves for the treasure, which he had no doubt was hidden there. Suppose he could find it. Should he credit the pirate's word about the death of its owner? Could he conscientiously appropriate it, not indeed for his own use, but to that of the chapel? He thought of the terrible sentence which fell on those who put unhallowed fire in their censers. He thought of the accursed thing found in the Jew's tent, which brought trouble upon the whole people to which he belonged. Then, again, it looked as if the sin attached to the appropriation of this gold had been punished in the persons of the pirates who'd taken it. It looked as if it were rescued from the service of the world to be devoted to that of the church, snatched from the devil himself to be given to St. Michael, his chief enemy. On the whole, he decided upon using the gold, if he could find it. He must, however, be cautious in the search. The HOL va eilen a chemer early as a chora fos bio, as gerau gennen der bid ostje che. Hoersjen tower only, as dimmerksjen Lucy maag mor wie, as hugsjen is jaag on. Gouds vasjen terug eg robben na haltenek, va krank eg dors a halje moer. Ren verjane in en veil, rai roi, renny sire de chor mooi put de edian as dosjelia. Esh, henky back as renny sansjerach dun, trau dunje sair on, verjit les chakterach vai meinste homewood. Door die mi G inrichen de instede rau fame furchten, non a vodmuch corsilia pechre bi cartnish. Hair bi les a chakterach, as les shingen sledden courage den overein, ren mi je root de bollach merchion. Gerem mi riu fagen les ulju en giel chonnet em en allu gavrige les lid en urginit. Va fissem, va fissegge, den kage edden re edden les bes, as ons fargach dinch mi de rau shen mer vei. Well, now here's a voice and no mistake, and also playing the banjo. Here is Margaret Barry. Fiddle player Michael Gorman also joins her on the fiddle.
There was a wily colonial boy, Jack Duckin was his name. He was born and reared in Ireland in a place called Castlemaine. He was his father's only son, his mother's pride and joy, and dearly did his parents long the wily colonial boy. At the youthful age of 18 years, he began Harity no pay. He robbed the rich to help the poor, and stabbed James McAvoy. And a charity was stranger was this while colonial boy. One day on the prairie, as Jackie rode along, he was listening to the mockingbird singing a cheerful song. Oh, steps three mountain police, Kelly Davis, and this right, and the all set away to capture him, the wild colonial boy. He fired a shot at Lenny, which brought him to the ground. On turning Davis, he received that fatal wound. A bullet pierced his proud young Harry from the pistol on his right, and that is how we capture him, the wild colonial boy.
Margaret Barry, born in Cork in 1917. She sang in the streets and at fairs and so on, and that's how she developed her fiery vocals. Well, the song was the important thing, never mind the rhythm, and Michael Gorman was one of the few musicians who could really follow her as well. Dregere rum ons acht na remmi tickle. Ach, leis kummuskira odach gewee nedenegge. De rausjen olju, Yinnen the Raushen olju, yinnen square vai cart mortashin nish, as ligagy lier sulga she. Son genelmi fagen solace ons bees het reirig jit. Drele rishin over egelesh, muvus shen possible, tulju brie, jint asano, as lesh tulju muste. Na shine, raushin en yis toyach der choren, der rauen chaskol toyach der jinori. Ren, Cree, Lucy, Boele, Beggen, na smoe clash nach sy stethoscope, as vergleisige ragen ons na skoen en ek. Ren, Edin van Helsing, bonus laanrige, as gouds rensjen troggeli, wain toveroenli, as gouds wasjen roli, ons briljen tje, de geurmagie, dort hierom, tan gid bondage dingen, check den rie. Rensjen corles Lucy gus schemer elia, valjorish nish jint erlu, as hugsjen leen na laisel javi, as rensjen cor bain na gage brandy she's a scornach trud njart. Father Kelly wouldn't trust the people to look, it might not be there, and then he would be ashamed. There might be more than he thought, and they might be tempted to take some. Or, if not that, be jealous at his retaining the possession of it himself. He would search alone. The conversation he'd heard outside the chapel while he listened on the eve of the storm indicated the spot on which he should look. Having therefore waited for a suitable moonlight night, he went very late to the churchyard with a spade. There was no one there. The shadow of the building fell upon the likely spot. He could work unperceived, even if the late returning fisherman were to pass by that way. Half ashamed of the errand, he'd not removed many spadefuls of earth from the grave he suspected, before he struck upon something hard. Stooping down, he felt for it with his hands. It was a heavy box. He took it up, smoothed down the soil, carried it straight home, double-locked his door, and broke it open. Now, while the 5th of March is dedicated to St. Piran, the 3rd of March is a day dedicated to Breton saint Juenole, but also revered in a number of Cornish churches, particularly in Gunwallow, named for the church dedicated to this saint. Well, this is Breton band now Ankh with a song called L'Aspect.
Falariden, j'ai fait une maîtresse.
Falariden, j'ai fait une maîtresse.
Blanche et française n'est Falariden, Falaride. Blanche et française n'est Falaride.
Blanche et française n'est Falariden, Falaride. Blanche et française n'est Falaride.
Falariden, j'irai la voir dimanche.
Falariden, j'irai la voir dimanche.
Lundi l'a demandé Falariden, Falaride. Lundi l'a demandé Falaride.
Lundi l'a demandé Falariden, Falaride. Lundi l'a demandé Falaride.
Falariden, je la trouve vicelette.
Falariden, je la trouve vicelette.
Sur son lit qui pleurait Falariden, Falaride. Sur son lit qui pleurait Falaride.
Sur son lit qui pleurait Falariden, Falaride. Sur son lit qui pleurait Falaride.
Falariden, je lui demandis belle. Falariden, je lui demandis belle.
Falariden, je lui demandis belle. Falariden, je lui demandis belle.
Qu'as-tu donc à pleurer, Falariden, Falaride? Qu'as-tu donc à pleurer, Falaride?
Qu'as-tu donc à pleurer, Falariden, Falaride? Qu'as-tu donc à pleurer, Falaride?
Falariden, j'ai oui dit hier en ville. Falariden, j'ai oui dit hier en ville.
Falariden, j'ai oui dit hier en ville. Falariden, j'ai oui dit hier en ville.
Que t'allais nous quitter, Falariden, Falaride. Que t'allais nous quitter, Falaride.
Que t'allais nous quitter, Falariden, Falaride. Que t'allais nous quitter, Falaride.
Falariden, ceux qui ont dit ça la belle. Falariden, ceux qui ont dit ça la belle.
Falariden, ceux qui ont dit ça la belle. Falariden, ceux qui ont dit ça la belle.
T'en dis la vérité, Falariden, Falaride. T'en dis la vérité, Falaride.
T'en dis la vérité, Falariden, Falaride. T'en dis la vérité, Falaride.
Falariden, les avions nous ramènent. Falariden, les avions nous ramènent.
Falariden, les avions nous ramènent. Falariden, les avions nous ramènent.
Jamais ne reviendrai Falariden, Falaride. Jamais ne reviendrai Falaride.
Jamais ne reviendrai Falariden, Falaride. Jamais ne reviendrai Falaride.
Il me manquait la carte et roupie sur la laine.
Il me manquait la carte et roupie sur la laine.
Pour t'épouser l'on la rester à tes côtés. J'ai la vie dans l'an la lire, j'ai la vie dans la laine.
Pour t'épouser l'on la rester à tes côtés. J'ai la vie dans la lire, j'ai la vie dans la laine.
Ne pleure pas Jeannette et roupie sur la laine.
Ne pleure pas Jeannette et roupie sur la laine.
Oh le yennel allons la tiguette de ta colère. J'ai la vie dans l'an la lire, j'ai la vie dans la laine.
Le yennel allons la tiguette de ta colère. J'ai la vie dans la lire, j'ai la vie dans la laine.
Quand on te verra seul et roupie sur la laine.
Quand on te verra seul et roupie sur la laine.
Quand tu n'iras l'on la ragade de bonne veine. J'ai la vie dans l'an la lire, j'ai la vie dans la laine.
Quand tu n'iras dans la ragade de bonne veine. J'ai la vie dans la lire, j'ai la vie dans la laine.
Il a la chemise noire et roupie sur la laine.
Il a la chemise noire et roupie sur la laine.
Et le bras droit l'on l'arrête comme la justice. J'ai la vie dans l'an la lire, j'ai la vie dans la laine.
Et le bras droit l'on l'arrête comme la justice. J'ai la vie dans la lire, j'ai la vie dans la laine.
The Breton band Ankh, who recorded that album for the Ciré Jaune label based in La Baule in the Brouwen in the maritime south of Brittany. The box contained broad, shining pieces of gold. They made such a heap on his table as he had never seen before. There was, moreover, in the box a necklace of large pearls, gold for the chapel, jewels for the Madonna. The church was furnished, the altar was decked, the image was brought, and round its neck he hung the string of large pearls. Father Kelly saw his dream fulfilled, and as success often produces conviction, he thanked St. Michael and all angels for having turned the robber's booty into sacred treasure. So it was written in his book, but he told no one whence these riches came. Some of the simple folk thought the Virgin herself had brought these jewels to the father. He, however, many a time, while he sat on the rocks by the chapel, looking out to seaward and watching the white sails go by, wandered back to the question whence these riches came, and whether, after all, they might not hide some after-curse or other. Ga mi taas de jay, de ren van Helsing kjon le buzzle lau shiedje bug, me giet de scornach. We foskin bjor, as we kaart geholkes, man a rauw in a smedene, verschinne nagen rieuw. Deemstjach van Helsing verge in rein, as dintje G de Hannachten Mary, as gin de gorschilje Soelvooi, der a henksjen riech. As es van ik houdige arm de git maag as een chamer. Zijn dan Lord Michael de vis vrienu, door de goudsheischen schies na Griechen. Ze haal je moer doschele dorres a chamer wie, as heischen stjach aan, as eschen doen dorres de kereilach na lorg. Van de koeligen een wasle, ach, van de dolen en hies hanne, les je weile schende etiket de wijs, ten wen goldach jene reinen cinchle, de kinjach koeline de rien. No sjo, van schemer beggen dorge. Ach, wat solles de loer ons aan de oren ein? Va Gerrit van Helsing jit de spugge ons peurt ljorisch komme daan wij senedinegge. Va Gerrit van Helsing jit de spugge ons peurt ljorisch komme daan wij senedinegge. Playing the Devil's Advocate, the title of the piece, written and performed by Chris Stout with his quintet.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
Siodiw stasiwn yn asiwn radio fannin, Rwy'n Claare na Gael dan Claare Shaw. Mer yn pyn Robert Gytyn Carswell o Robert y Carslach.
Have I heard tell of old Bobby Bob?
Sbachtel fe, der awi torchach a naidniege mych iawn rydynach. My so, dorri mi rys tullach as lore, crefus fri ynwain nish. Cregus fodmud chindeis on kuna. Signed on Coolina Cochlay Folla Elia, a chandelier, nonnen a bee bay and yin vach shen on a chrish ur Elia. Towers tuliet hanna, tamish tuliet nis. Ta alem cor barantons na mren shen, me visse denesok de chorad heen day. Crevis wine bent in de pech enjach, ni fostlen a kushlien egge erson. Cren fein a Biden cooey, son shen a zulju. Henke corre vain eishach chauelia chemer. As ren de shien and G. Corey, lief as boga de machri, no de rauwe J. Quincy Morris. Ren van Helsing moeste de corrie egen chid shien, ach ren a neden ege minige, as henk shilje manres jach ons de soelien ege, goud deem mi maag, Quincy Morris, as rem mi rai hugger, lesh lauwen shient maag. One evening, as Father Kelly sat there, a vessel came round the point, and, dropping anchor in the haven, she drew his attention as being unlike any of the common coasting ships, or even of the traders, which ventured on more distant voyages. She carried more canvas in proportion to her hull, and had her sails furled almost as soon as she'd swung round with the tide. Presently a boat came off from her, and was rowed to the shore, just beneath the spot where he sat. Two men, apparently officers, got out, and walking up to him, begged him to accompany them back to the ship, as, they said, one of their crew was dying and needed the offices of a priest. He went with them at once, without suspicion. A man who'd been with him and heard the summons returned to Derby Haven. The ghostly summons, however, was a ruse. This was the sister ship of the pirate who'd been wrecked here in the storm, now some months ago. The newcomers had learned her fate and had landed to search for traces of the treasures she'd had on board. Well, here's my song to you. Well, it's Alan Hughes' song, MARGARET, performed by Linda Griffiths and the brothers Eirig and Anir Roberts, who perform as the duo Briggin.
Yn y Gael yn milau'n mawr, dan yr awyr ddidostir ddi, a'r eiran sy'n gloi lawr. Mi ganaf yng nghanu ti, i dy gadw'n gynnes ac yn glyd, ac yn yr oriau ma, bydd noder
ganaf yng nghanu ti, dan ganghennau'r gwanwyn gwyrdd. I gyfeiliant y brain a rwyn, a blodau ni'n y ffyrdd. Mi ganaf yng nghanu ti, bydd yn hafan ac yn gysgod rhag y gres. Arnos weithiau braf, a isan bor o haf, daw y gan a ni yn nes. Daw y gan a ni yn nes. Yn yr hydref dan y dain, lle mae'r mwg o'r tomenniau yn gweud i'r gwryd o'r hael. Mi ganaf yng nghanu ti, can o obaith yn ein dyddiau rhyfenni, ac yn y dŵr a'r tân fe wnaed y gan. Dwi'n ei chanu hi ti, yn y dŵr a'r tân fe wnaed y gan. Dwi'n ei chanu hi ti, yn ei chanu hi ti.
Linda Griffiths and Briggin, the brothers Eirig and Anir Roberts. Fy nghan I ti, my song for you, one of Alan Spardin Hughes' songs. But of course the 1st of March was Dydd Dewi Sant, so a song for him as well, perhaps. The pirates had first taken the priest, as they thought, with much probability he could tell them whether the inhabitants of the village had plundered the wreck, and also whether any of her crew survived. What they learned from Father Kelly, no one ever knew. Some of the men, returning to the shore, strolled into the chapel, and doubtless recognised the necklace as one of the costliest items of their lost treasure. The next morning, the ship was gone, and the people, searching for their priest, who'd not returned home at night, found the chapel sacked and his corpse set over the altar in the place where the image of the Madonna had been, with a knotted cord like a necklace tightly twisted round his throat. The superstition of the natives never permitted them to use the chapel again. It gradually became a ruin. The roof fell in. The storms lashed the walls within as well as without, until at last it passed into the state in which it is to this day. Claare corlesiw the saw, daimi chawds henknen lawen regelia. Tammy sheen the vel art an or. Hug e chelgram daw. Gamleshel. Aliams the wel, dat shen kielach de anach vremiliai mache. Claare corlesiw the saw, daimi chawds henknen lawen regelia. Tammy sheen the vel art an or. Hug e chelgram daw. As Seach and Telgram. Chanel meer glaasjen by Seward dus 3 lijn, as tam I 4 neer. Ganodum vergeel. Ganodum vergeel Air Force en onsteed. Ganodum vergeel Air Force en onsteed. Cor vistdown mechion en achter Lucy, na Jim cum rail. Homewood. Tammy Sheen, dat denkt me kaart en 3 oil. Ta visit na wel fame dacht de inch down na de junno. Kiaull van Helsing I, as gawi a lau, as jiche de girach stjach ons a hoolien, gauws doorte. Ta fool dunje dunnel en rid shares a tail shaw, Travis Ben ons bora. Towers de wunjes on shigris. Well, fuddy the gin and jowl avrichen en I huisjes te able. Ach, ta G cordon dania tret a fame oru. As Shen Kiltelia Heishin Trud and Ovraid Haglach. Now this is another song in Manx now, not traditional, it's sung by Bill Corlett and Phil Gaughan.
Ma fusen is a giaura a sniak de chit the down, ta trimsha grimer am a cree, as chona am a kiaull. As the rawa gryan meran nacht, the rawa gryan shaw, the rawa gryan meran nacht, a grime a crees musto. Mas munyon gorish lamen shade houd as tammy dushed, nak vel me kiat na bilja bak ta cast as green as rouged. As the rawa gryan meran nacht, the rawa gryan shaw, the rawa gryan meran nacht, a grime a crees musto. Ta bodgel en catulagar as droben ons an air, sedu as na jibi ta mishkiawi as le. As the rawa gryan meran nacht, the rawa gryan shaw, the rawa gryan meran nacht, a grime a crees musto.
Chadwyd mi the raw graham mod gather before meadow, Hanel kedown is nach vel shen ma crow begons me chliw.
As the rawa graham meran nacht, the rawa graham shaw, the rawa graham meran nacht, a grime a creas musto.
The love of my heart and my treasure. Well, treasure, mustor. Bit of an Irishism to use mustor as an endearment, but that was Bill Corlett and Phil Gaughan with a song of yearning, but all too late. Chanel creed alorem de chit der ullion the minfointen. Va grain atchimach reag Lucy as re ginnawuri, na smoo na rai. Son gae the jaach paltje fools jaach ons na kuslienek. Gerauwe korpek gefregert acht een lies, gemaies na Kirtnelia. Van streppe ek, gespioes, riech, riddenach, aglach, de hagen as de glaasjen. Even now, concludes our storyteller William Harrison, whoever struck the walls, this is the walls of St. Michael's Chapel, whoever struck the walls and listened, could hear a moan within and a noise like the jingling of money. You can try it yourself and find whether I've told you the truth. And so that's the legend of the ruined chapel in St. Michael's Isle, as retold by William Harrison in one of the volumes for the Manx Society, volume 21 from 1873. Now, we'll be returning to the text that brought us here, David Robertson's 1791 tour through the Isle of Man, in Claare Gael next time. Well, stand by for 2 hours of the best chill-out music for your Sunday evening with Chris Pearson between 7 and 9, and then at 9 it's Judith Lay with Sundown. But we're closing with a song in the Cornish language again by Gwenno Saunders, whose father Tim used to speak Cornish to her, and she's gone on to record 2 albums of songs in Cornish now. This is the title track of her album, which was shortlisted for the Mercury Prize. It was released in July last year. It's called Tresor. And it's again something in Cornish in honour of Gŵl Perran, the feast day of St. Piran, the 5th of March. Ach, Sinead, as my saw, until the next time then, this is Robert Cutting-Carswell, Robert de Carslach.
Oh, Bobby Bob.
Wishing you a very good night eve, I'm a crearu, as Orserlier, as my Yiri and shared you will you.
Is